Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Reshma Tiwari with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in the G20 Summit in Rome this afternoon. Prime Minister meets Pope Francis at the Vatican. Important interventions from India incorporated by G20 nations, says India's G20 Sherpa Piyush Goyal. G20 nations endorse India's position that extensive COVID immunization is a global public good. Union Home Minister Amit Shah launches Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana in Uttarakhand. Government says 2 crore 50 lakh rural self-help groups women to be provided livelihood support in the next 2 years. Peaceful voting underway for by-elections to 3 Lok Sabha and 30 Assembly constituencies in 14 states. More than 105 crore 49 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.19%. Prestigious annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture of All India Radio to be delivered by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat tomorrow. In French Open Badminton, PV Sindhu to play against Sayaka Takahashi of Japan in women's singles semi-final this evening. And in T20 Cricket World Cup today, South Africa to clash with Sri Lanka in Sharjah at 3:30 p.m. and England to clash with Australia at 7:30 p.m. in Dubai. As India created history by administering 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. The 16th G20 Summit is all set to start in Rome this afternoon. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to participate in the summit along with other heads of state of G20 member countries, the European Union and other invited countries and international organizations. This year, the summit is centered around the theme People, Planet, Prosperity. The thrust of the summit will be on economic and health recovery, climate change and sustainable development. We have with us our correspondent Divakar, who is in Rome, to cover the summit. Divakar, what is the agenda of today's G20 meeting and their significance?
Well, Valsa, today's session is on global economy and global health, and it is very significant in view of COVID-19 pandemic, and the leaders will discuss the global economy and health recovery and way forward. India has been a strong advocate in G20 for supporting equitable and affordable access to COVID-19 disease control tools, including vaccines and diagnostics through technology transfer, diversification of supply chains and production house. New Delhi has also proposed mutual recognition of COVID-19 vaccine certificate at G20, and if you talk about tomorrow's session in the summit, it will be on climate change and environment and sustainable development. Valsa.
Right, Divakar, could you tell us about the other engagements of the Prime Minister today?
Well, on the sidelines of G20 today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold meetings with the presidents of France and Indonesia, as well as Prime Minister of Singapore, and they will discuss ways to strengthen bilateral relations. And tomorrow, Mr. Modi will hold bilateral meetings with Prime Minister of Spain and German Chancellor here in Rome. Valsa.
The Prime Minister reached Rome yesterday on a 5-day visit to attend the G20 Summit and the World Leaders Summit of COP26 in Glasgow. He received a rousing welcome from the Indian diaspora when he reached Piazza Gandhi in Rome to pay floral tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. As soon as the Prime Ministerial cavalcade entered the premises, chants of the Prime Minister's name reverberated in the surroundings. Yesterday, Mr. Modi held delegation-level talks with his Italian counterpart Mario Draghi. Both the countries reviewed the 2020 to 2025 action plan of bilateral partnership and reiterated the commitment to further expand trade and investment linkages. The Prime Minister also held a joint meeting with President of the European Council, Charles Michel, and President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, in Rome. The leaders discussed ways to enhance economic as well as people-to-people linkages aimed at creating a better planet. The Prime Minister met Pope Francis at Vatican City ahead of the G20 Summit. Sources said Mr. Modi and Pope Francis discussed a wide range of issues aimed at making our planet better, such as fighting climate change and removing poverty. The meeting, that was scheduled only for 20 minutes, went on for an hour. The Prime Minister also invited the Pope to visit India. It may be recalled that the last Papal visit to India happened in 1999. It was during the NDA rule when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India. Pope John Paul II visited India. Now it is during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's term that the Pope has been invited to visit India.
Commerce Minister and India's G20 Sherpa Piyush Goyal has said that G20 nations have endorsed India's position that extensive COVID immunization is a global public good. Briefing the media during the meeting of G20 Sherpas in Rome, Mr. Goyal said the agenda of the meetings so far have included several important interventions from India.
Our efforts in building more consensus and building back the support of all the developed nations towards resilience.
Mr. Goyal said on sustainable development and food security, India insisted that policy must protect small and marginal farmers and conserve local food culture. He said on tax reforms, India has pushed the G20 nations to address the mismatch between source of generation of profits and jurisdictions where profits are taxed. He said on anti-corruption, India has contributed to the 5 think pieces related to asset recovery, information sharing, law enforcement cooperation, technology and denial of safe havens. The minister added that India has strongly pushed for the need for balancing data, free flow along with trust. Mr. Goyal also said, India's voice in the G20 represents the voice of less developed nations and developing nations.
Our efforts in building more consensus and building back the support of all the developed nations towards resilient supply chains and faster recovery of vulnerable economies of low-income and developing countries has been widely appreciated by other G20 members, and we shall continue to represent the voice of the low and middle income countries.
In Rome, Mr. Goyal participated in the 6th G20 Sherpas meeting from the 27th to 29th of this month. The agenda of the Sherpas meeting was to finalize the Rome Declaration, which would be adopted by the G20 leaders at the summit. Our correspondent gives a glimpse of the G20 summit.
The G20 comprises of 19 countries and the European Union. This international forum brings together the world's major economies. Its members account for more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of global trade and 60% of the population of the planet. The forum has met every year since 1999. Yearly summits have been held since 2008 with the participation of the heads of state of G20 nations. In addition to the summit, ministerial meetings, Sherpa meetings, working groups and special events are organized throughout the year. The summit is the final stage at leaders level of the intense work carried out within these various groups throughout the year. The COVID pandemic has had profound impacts on the health of humans worldwide. The G20 summit this year under Italian presidency will focus on 3 broad interconnected pillars of action: people, planet, prosperity. With Divakar in Rome, Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
Back home, the Power Ministry has said that India is committed to achieve more than 40% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel energy resources by 2030. The ministry said the government has identified new areas to achieve higher levels of penetration of renewable energy by proposing certain amendments to Energy Conservation Act 2001. The objective of this amendment is to enhance demand for renewable energy at the end-use sectors such as industry, buildings and transport.
Polling is underway for by-elections to 3 Lok Sabha and 30 Assembly seats spread over 14 states. The Election Commission has made elaborate arrangements for peaceful polling. The Commission has ordered for strict compliance of COVID guidelines. Lok Sabha by-polls are being held for Khandwa Lok Sabha constituency in Madhya Pradesh, Mandi in Himachal Pradesh and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. The counting of votes will take place on November the 2nd. In Bihar, 37.92% polling has been recorded in by-elections for Tarapur and Kusheshwar Asthan Assembly seats till 1 p.m. In Tarapur Assembly segment, 39% polling has been registered, while 36.55% electorates have cast their votes in Kusheshwar Asthan. Due to security reasons, polling will conclude by 4 p.m. in both the assembly constituencies. In Madhya Pradesh, 25.23% polling was recorded in Khandwa Lok Sabha seat, while 28.55% in Jobat, 34.52% in Prithvipur and 33.62% polling recorded in Raigaon assembly seats till 11 a.m. In Maharashtra, by-poll is being held for Deglur-Biloli assembly seat in Nanded district. People in large numbers were seen outside the polling stations to exercise their right to franchise. 12 candidates, including from Congress and the BJP, are in the fray. In Rajasthan, by-poll is being held for Vallabhnagar and Dhariawad assembly seats. 9 candidates are contesting from Dhariawad seat of Pratapgarh. More than 25% voter turnout was recorded in both the assembly seats till 11 a.m. In Himachal Pradesh, polling is underway for by-election in Mandi Lok Sabha and Arki, Fatehpur and Jubbal Kotkhai assembly seats amidst tight security. State Election Commission officials said over 30% of the electorate had cast their vote till 2 p.m. In Haryana, polling for the Ellanabad assembly constituency is going on peacefully amidst tight security arrangements. 121 polling booths have been identified as sensitive and hypersensitive. Till 11 a.m., 28% polling was reported. In Assam, by-polls are taking place for 5 assembly seats. Nearly 32% polling was reported by 11 a.m. A total of 31 candidates are in the fray. In Karnataka, voting is being held in Hangal and Sindhgi assembly constituencies. At 11 a.m., Hangal Assembly constituency in Haveri district recorded 24.31% polling, and Sindhgi Assembly segment in Vijaypura district recorded 26.85% polling.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in the G20 Summit in Rome this afternoon. Prime Minister meets Pope Francis at the Vatican. Important interventions from India incorporated by G20 nations, says India's G20 Sherpa Piyush Goyal. G20 nations endorse India's position that extensive COVID immunization is a global public good. Union Home Minister Amit Shah launches Ghaziari Kalyan Yojana in Uttarakhand. Government says 2 crore 50 lakh rural self-help groups women to be provided livelihood support in the next 2 years. Peaceful voting underway for by-elections to 3 Lok Sabha and 30 assembly constituencies in 14 states. More than 105 crore 49 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.19%. Prestigious annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture of All India Radio to be delivered by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat tomorrow. In French Open Badminton, PV Sindhu to play against Sayaka Takahashi of Japan in women's singles semi-final this evening. And in T20 Cricket World Cup today, South Africa to clash with Sri Lanka in Sharjah at 3:30 p.m. and England to clash with Australia at 7:30 p.m. in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
भारत के स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में अनगिनत स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी। कुछ इतिहास में अमर हो गए और कई गुमनाम। आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के अंतर्गत 75 कड़ियों की श्रृंखला में हम उन वीरांगनाओं की बात करेंगे जिनका योगदान कभी भुलाया नहीं जा सकता। प्रत्येक मंगलवार परिक्रमा में सुनिए अपराजिता, देश की वीरांगनाओं को आकाशवाणी का सादर नमन।
Welcome back to the Midday News. Union Minister Amit Shah has said Uttarakhand came into existence due to former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He said the BJP government is working for the betterment of the state. He said this while launching Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana in Uttarakhand this morning. Mr. Shah said that computerization of cooperative societies is a big task. He said rural women will benefit immensely by the Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana. He said the BJP government has worked a lot during the corona pandemic. Mr. Shah said that renovation works in Kedarnath, all-weather roads and other projects will help in the development of the state. He said projects worth 85,000 crore projects are underway in the state. The government has said that 2 crore 50 lakh rural self-help groups women will be provided livelihood support in the next 2 years. The Rural Development Ministry said the government has launched an initiative to enable rural self-help groups women to earn at least 1 lakh rupees per annum. The ministry said, based on various models existing across the country, a detailed advisory has been issued to the state governments. Under the National Rural Livelihood Mission, poor women from different cross-sections of class and caste form self-help groups and their federations, providing financial, economic and social development services to their members for enhancing their income and quality of life.
Over 105 crore 49 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. In the last 24 hours, a total of 14,313 new cases were reported and over 13,543 recoveries were recorded. Recovery rate is currently at 98.19%. India's active caseload stands at Irani today flagged in Sudarshan Bharat Parikrama, National Security Guard Black Cat's car rally at the National Police Memorial, New Delhi. The car rally was flagged off from the historic Red Fort in Delhi on the 2nd of this month under the ongoing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said during its 7,500-kilometer long journey, the NSG's car rally passed through important and historical places.
कार रैली के माध्यम से हिंदुस्तान के उस इतिहास को भी दोहरा रहा था जिसने मंगल पांडे के हुंकार को सुना, नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के पराक्रम को जाना, किट्टू रानी चेन्नम्मा के गौरव गान को न सिर्फ सुना बल्कि उसे गाया भी, और जिसने साबरमती आश्रम के माध्यम से विश्व भर को ये संदेश दिया कि हिंदुस्तान शस्त्र, अस्त्र और शांति के साथ युद्ध हो या शांति का समय हो, विश्व भर में अपनी एक अमिट छाप छोड़ चुका है.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in morning news since the 16th of August and will continue till the 15th of August 2022. Let's now listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
30th October has a great significance in the history of India's freedom movement. On this day in 1928, an incident took place which played a great role in changing the nature of the freedom struggle. The British government sent a 7-member commission to India under the chairmanship of Sir John Simon.
The commission was given the responsibility to prepare a report on how well the 1919 Government of India Act was working. There was deep resentment in India over the composition of the commission, as it did not include any Indian delegates. As a result, the Indian National Congress decided to boycott the commission.
On 30th of October 1928, the commission was met by protesters waving black flags upon its arrival at the Lahore railway station. The peaceful protest was led by Lala Lajpat Rai, who had moved a resolution against the commission in the Legislative Assembly of Punjab in February 1928.
In order to make way for the commission, the local police force began beating protesters. British police officer James A. Scott ordered a lathi charge, and Lala Lajpat Rai was among the protesters injured seriously. Refusing to buckle down, Lala Lajpat Rai said,
"I declare that the blows struck at me today will be the last nails in the coffin of British rule in India."
Rai did not recover from the blows received during the protest and died on November 17, 1928, following a heart attack. Doctors believed that the assault by Scott led to his death.
While the British Parliament refused to accept any role in the death of Lala Lajpat Rai, revolutionaries Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh and their associates, however, vowed to avenge his death. They plotted to assassinate James Scott, the official who ordered the lathi charge. A month after Rai's death, they killed Assistant Superintendent of Police J.P. Saunders, mistaking him for James A. Scott.
This incident took place not very far from the National College of Lahore, which was set up by Lala Lajpat Rai in the early 1920s as part of nationalization of education. It was in this college that Bhagat Singh met his comrades-in-arms Sukhdev, Yashpal, Ramakrishna and Bhagwati Charan Vora. Together, they formed a leftist revolutionary party called Naujawan Bharat Sabha.
30th October also marks the death anniversary of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who founded the Arya Samaj at Lahore in 1877. The Hindu revivalist movement looked to modernize Hinduism by removing some of its corrupting influences and seek the essence of Vedic culture that it believed represented the religion's true form.
As an outspoken person, Swami Dayanand strongly resisted social ills and outdated religious practices. In this process, he made enemies, many of whom also tried to harm him. He survived many such attempts till September 29, 1883, when his own cook gave him a glass of poisoned milk. The Swami suffered in pain for a month before he died on October 30, 1883.
Though Swami Dayanand was not directly involved in politics, his teachings found a lot of resonance with the freedom struggle. They also influenced and inspired a large number of freedom fighters such as Ram Prasad Bismil, Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai. Bhagat Singh was an alumnus of the Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School in Lahore. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has recalled the rich contributions of the illustrious Pasumpon Muthuramalingga Thevar on his birth anniversary today. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he was extremely brave and kind-hearted. Mr. Modi added that Thevar devoted his life to public welfare and social justice and made many efforts for the welfare of farmers and workers. All India Radio's prestigious annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture will be delivered this year by India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. CDS General Bipin Rawat will talk about role of Indian Armed Forces in nation building. The lecture will be broadcast on the occasion of Sardar Patel's birth anniversary tomorrow across All India Radio network at 9:30 p.m. The visual version of the lecture will be telecast on DD National the same day at 10 p.m.
Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports, Anurag Singh Thakur, today said that the motive of the Clean India program is not only to make our country clean, but also to change the mindset of people to keep their surroundings clean. He was speaking at a seminar on Clean India program under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav at Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Awadh University, Ayodhya. Talking about the achievements of the UP government, Mr. Thakur said that UP government is making the state criminals free and it's time for the youth to make their state garbage free. In French Open Badminton, PV Sindhu will play the women's singles semi-final today. World number 7 Sindhu will take on world number 15 Sakaya Takahashi of Japan this evening. Sindhu defeated Busanan Ongbam Rungfan of Thailand in the quarterfinals yesterday. In T20 Cricket World Cup today, South Africa will clash with Sri Lanka in Sharjah at 3:30 p.m. and England will take on Australia at 7:30 p.m. in Dubai. All India Radio will broadcast the ball-by-ball commentary of the matches. Last night, Pakistan beat Afghanistan by 5 wickets at Dubai International Stadium. Earlier, in another match, West Indies defeated Bangladesh by 3 runs in a nail-biting finish in Sharjah.
The 17th edition of India-US Joint Exercise Ex-Yuddha Abhyas 2021 has concluded at Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska. The Indian Army has said the exercise has strengthened mutual confidence, interoperability and enabled sharing of best practices between the two armies. Exercise Yuddha Abhyas is the largest running joint military training and defense cooperation endeavor between India and the USA. It is hosted alternately by the two countries. And now let us take a look at the weather update for today. National capital Delhi will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 15 degrees. Maximum expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will also have a mainly clear sky. Maximum temperature is expected to be 34 degrees. Chennai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Maximum temperature expected to be nearly 31. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was recorded at 23 degrees. Maximum will go up to 32. Moving towards south, Hyderabad will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum and maximum temperatures are hovering between 21 and 30 degrees Celsius. Bengaluru will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will vary between 20 and 27 degrees. Thiruvananthapuram will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature was 24 degrees. Maximum will be around 31. Guwahati, Imphal, Aizawl, Kohima and Itanagar will have mainly clear sky. Shillong and Agartala will have partly cloudy sky. Gangtok will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Guwahati, temperature moves between 20 degrees to 32 degrees. Temperature in Imphal hovers between 16 and 27. In Shillong, it will be between 13 and 23 degrees. In Aizawl, temperature moves between 16 and 27 degrees. In Kohima, temperature will be between 13 to 24 degrees. Itanagar has minimum and maximum temperature of 17 and 33 degrees. In Agartala, it will be between 22 and 32. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in the G20 Summit in Rome this afternoon. Prime Minister meets Pope Francis at the Vatican. Important interventions from India incorporated by G20 nations, says India's G20 Sherpa Piyush Goyal. G20 nations endorse India's position that extensive COVID immunization is a global public good. Union Home Minister Amit Shah launches Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana in Uttarakhand. Government says 2 crore 50 lakh rural self-help groups women to be provided livelihood support in the next 2 years. Peaceful voting underway for by-elections to 3 Lok Sabha and 30 Assembly constituencies in 14 states. More than 105 crore 49 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far, recovery rate at 98.19%. Prestigious annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture of All India Radio to be delivered by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat tomorrow. And with that, we end the midday news.